Hey everybody! So it is Friday, August 14th, and oh my gosh, what a crazy cycle we're going to dive into today, which is America's Next Top Model. Cycle 16, probably one of the most cinematic and exciting abroad locations for sure. And Molly is going to be joining me. I know so many of you guys are so excited to talk to her. And thank you guys so much for putting up with my hurricane nonsense here on the East Coast. Yeah, I had no power, no internet last week, so I'm sorry that I had to push it 1 week, but I'm so glad that we get to do it today. I'm seeing so many of you do know it's my birthday today, so I am working all day, so thank you so much for the birthday greetings down below. Let's check if Molly is here. Trying to get her to join. Of course this is going to happen now. Oh, there she is. Let's see if my sound is connected. Hope you guys can hear me. Waiting for Molly. It says she's connecting. Hey!
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, can you hear me?
Awesome. Look how gorgeous you look.
Oh, thank you. Lighting, it's all lighting and makeup, I promise.
Oh yeah, I know. I've got my little concealer, my powder on because, you know, well, everyone was saying before, it's my birthday today. So
I know, I just saw that. And happy birthday, by the way. I just saw that. I'm sorry, I didn't even.
Thank you. Thank you so much. First of all, it's like, we have so much to download today. I don't think people are going to be really ready for this fully, but I'm so glad that you got to do this with me. I had so much fun on, you know, it was kind of like an interesting cycle for me because, and we'll get into, you know, kind of all the crazy emotions, but I learned at this point, I was just kind of like, with everything that was going on behind the scenes of the show, I was just like, oh, let's just let this go. Let's just do this. And I really enjoyed being in Morocco. I think we all had fun.
Even it may have been super stressful. I mean, the whole thing was stressful because it's a competition.
Of course, of course.
Morocco was one of the greatest experiences ever. I've always wanted to go back and experience it myself when I'm not working and having this kind of schedule because it was just so cool. But I mean, that was next level.
And one of the things that you did talk about in the show that you were so vulnerable and open about, and I don't know if you knew that you shared something in common with me, that I'm also adopted. Did you know that?
I actually did not, and now, so that's actually really cool. No, I had no idea about that. So.
Yeah, so for me, it was, you know, I know you were talking about it in your interviews on the show and et cetera, and you know, obviously, it was one of the things that Tyra and everyone knew around me. Again, it's not something that I would run out and announce and what have you, but people knew that. And we didn't want to kind of take it away from your storyline because it was part of your journey. But, you know, even with me and my novel that I just released and I know you haven't read it yet because it's on the way to you. But it's not a spoiler, but you know, Pablo, who's Pablo Michaels, the main character of my book, is not me. He's just inspired by me. But I did want to give him a very vulnerable piece of me, which is my adoption story, because it ties into the whole overall narrative and even at the end. And there's no spoilers there, but I didn't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't. And I mean, adoption ties into, for most people, literally every aspect of their life. So it's a big thing to talk about and to like let other people know, you know, like if you're uncomfortable talking about it, that's okay, but obviously you aren't, and I wish I had known. I wouldn't have felt as if you were taking anything away from me. It would have been if anything, like a more of a bonding kind of thing, but you know, they wanted that storyline to kind of go along.
Yeah, and I loved how you spoke about it and spoke about your parents. And so for me, and you know, I look at my parents, I only know my parents, you know, and when people say, well, birth mother or mother, I'm like, well, I only have one mother, I only have one father, and that's the way I look at it. And both my sister and I were adopted. You know, my mother couldn't have children, so for us, we felt very much like the wanted children, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if anything, you've been chosen anyway. I've read a lot of books and stuff on this, how I was told when I was really, really young that I was adopted. So, and my parents were like, it wasn't because you did anything. It was because your mother wanted you to have a better life. And so, well, I'm I could somewhat understand that. Subconsciously, your mind is just like, oh, I've been abandoned. Why is that? And then you strive for perfection or for this or that. You know, everyone reacts to it differently. So, I mean, it's, you know, it's just a different thing for everybody. And
It is.
and
Yeah, I know. And I personally I don't remember being told. We always knew, like, this was the day we came home kind of deal. It was our day. We got to pick our favorite meal that day. It was kind of like, it was made to be a fun thing. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up before we dove into these
yeah,
questions. And there are so many questions from fans. They're so excited you're here.
so many.
So let's dive into, okay, there were two top questions that so many of you talked about. And by the way, I'm seeing comments go by and someone's saying, uh, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but people are saying my audio sucks.
I think it cuts in and out probably because you don't have headphones. Do you have headphones around? You know what we'll do is I'll pause, because if I pause and then you speak, your audio will be clear. So I think that'll be the best way to do it.
Okay, sorry. I can find headphones somewhere nearby, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you once I stop talking. So what I'll do, I'll ask the question because you're going to dive into this first one because I want your opinion. So this is from, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Yosoyisvi, Yosoyisvi asked, when they faked the models out in that casting episode, was that real? And and I can't imagine the girls. They were first told, and then later on they would be told that they weren't on. Can you talk about that? So tell me your experience, and then I'll talk about the behind the scenes because everybody wanted to know about this.
Oh man. Okay, so this was just a bleep show, if you will.
Oh, we can swear here. Don't worry, we can swear.
Shit show. I fully had no idea that this was like, they were like, oh, casting's going to be different this year. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I'm fully expecting not fully, but pretty much expecting myself to find a photo. I'm expecting Michaela, Monique, Brittany, these high fashion faces where in the interviews, they were like, who do you think is going to make it? And I'm like, if I don't, it's going to be these girls.
Yeah.
And then we'll look at these blank photos and we're like, what the fuck? And then we look around and we're all the people we did not expect to make it, not in a bad way, just like, I mean, Michaela's face, look at those brows. Like, really? She didn't make it? So I was just like, someone is crazy here. Somebody's on some drugs and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And we were so sad. I was like, I have my dream dashed. I will never be, like, literally everything ran through my head. I was so upset. All of us, we were crying. And I was like, you know, if I didn't even make it, I'm just sad that all these other girls I thought were going to make it didn't. So, you know, I was ready to go home. And the other girls were so excited, the ones who thought they made it. They were screaming like I would have been. And then they kind of ushered them off to say, well, we're taking these girls away. And those who didn't get a photo, stay here. And so we're all like,
yeah. Brittany was crying. I mean, it was, yeah.
Poor Brittany. Brittany was so upset.
Yeah.
And then these girls were so excited because their dreams, they thought, were becoming a reality. And they ushered them off. And then, you know, then we are told we're going to talk to Tyra one last time. And then they drop the curtains and we just lose our shit, like, you know, sobbing, so happy. And then a few minutes later, we realize, oh, shit. About these poor girls who thought that they were in our place.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, a lot of people are writing, I can hear you, but your audio does go in and out. I don't know if you can grab headphones. I'll explain the other side real quick while you grab headphones. So for all of you guys, thank you. She's going to grab headphones. What did happen? I mean, so obviously Miss J and I did have to kind of administer, you know, hand out the envelopes to the girls. We knew what was going on. Even Miss J and I were told kind of last minute that, you know, this is how casting was going to be. And it was going to be this kind of like switch, kind of fake out moment. Big surprise to us. And then at the same time, it was just this really weird moment because basically, we knew we were giving the girls who were in the competition these blank photos, and it was really kind of hard to see them be upset. We kind of stepped away. I'm even going to wait for Molly to come up. Yeah, someone said it's so fucked up. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, it is kind of fucked up. At that point, you know, we were really being told what to do. So I think I saw Molly there. Does she have headphones? Oh, she's like looking in her bag. But can you hear me?
Yeah,
You still looking for headphones?
Shoot.
Well, if you don't have headphones, it probably sounds fine. We just have to like pause a little bit. Okay, well, I think her signal, we'll just take a look. Her signal's going in and out. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, basically what happened, guys, for those who want to know what happened to those girls, and so many of you asked the questions, were those girls actors? So, oh, Molly, like there you are, because your signal was cutting out.
No, because I'm wandering around trying to find these stupid headphones. My boyfriend stole my AirPods.
Okay. Well, if you can hear us, why don't you sit where you were, where the signal was, and I think we'll make it work.
Figure it out. I'll yell.
We'll figure it out. We can see you, we can hear you. So basically, what people didn't know is those girls were they weren't actors. They were real, you know, contestants. I thought personally, this has got to be the worst prank joke. But what people don't know, and Molly, you probably don't know this, the girls were ushered off to a bus. They think they were going off to casting. They sat in the bus for a couple of hours, and then producers boarded the bus first with cameras, because the girls thought, oh, we're continuing shooting. So the cameras came on, they started rolling, and then the producer told them they're actually not in the show. And these girls were destroyed. It was awful. I think originally they wanted Miss J and I to go in and do that. I was like, I'm not doing something like that. But so producers just told them, and it was just terrible.
That's horrible. I've spoken to a few of the girls.
And it was casting producers, by the way. The casting producers went on and told them. Yeah.
Oh. The casting that ushered them off. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. But I didn't know that they took them onto a bus and had to wait for hours. That's horrific. I've spoken to a few of them afterwards, and like, I mean, just the pain that I went through in those, you know, however long I had to wait, thinking that I didn't make it in that initial thing, and then told that I made it, and then, oh, just kidding, like that would be even worse.
Way worse.
That was pretty cool. I in no way agreed with that.
And I actually felt bad for you guys, but it was a kind of cool reveal, because I know you guys were like stunned and excited, and then you were actually standing in your home already. But yeah, it was something that was kind of cooked up again. They were trying to lift the ratings of the show. We'd gone high fashion the season before. That didn't lift enough, so they were trying to do things to kind of make it bigger, more kind of water cooler talk. I felt it was like kind of cruel. And somebody even asked, I can't find the question, but someone asked, did Tyra normally go and speak to the girls that are eliminated in casting? She never did that, actually. So when she said she was coming to speak to you, because she always speaks to the eliminated girls, that was all part of the setup on camera. She never spoke to the eliminated girls. Someone just asked down below, was Tyra part of that prank? Tyra's the executive producer of the show. She loved that reveal. Absolutely part of it. You know, I'm not saying anything. That was her decision. So I know a lot of you are saying that, you know, I can't believe she was a part of that. She's a part of everything in that show. It was her show.
Definitely. Yeah. She's aware.
So, yeah. So Molly, I'm going to let you dive. I'll read the next question, but you're going to dive in. It is the second most asked question of this chat. And I just picked somebody randomly. This is the Lost Levitt asked, why did they let Molly get a weave when her hair is too fine for that? Also, why that cheap, awful Roman noodle-esque weave? No wonder she was portrayed as having an attitude for that cycle. I'd be pissed too. I'll let you dive into this. If you guys remember watching the makeover What happened was when the weave was being put on, and even when it was done, remember, Molly, Tyra wasn't there. Jay and I came over. You could see we did not love it, but we had to say, well, Tyra's the client. I'll say my opinion after you go, but talk about the experience, because the weave was for shit. It was hideous. Go ahead.
Really, I think honestly, I need a drink before we chat about this.
She's like, she needs a drink because that weave was so horrific. Yeah, for the hair. I live.
Man, weave, y'all. Was a joke. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. I honestly may have like flashbacks. I don't know how long I can keep that on my head.
So funny. That was hilarious. I live for it. And by the way, there's no they. I'm going to be very, very honest here. We're spilling the tea.
You and Jay were making faces at that thing the whole time. Miss J, both Jays.
Yes, Miss J. Yeah, both Jays were there. Yeah. So basically, there is no they. You know, Tyra really determines the makeovers. I think everybody knows that by now. We've talked about it. I'll tell you what had happened over the last few cycles. The makeovers and some of her ideas really were not working. And what would happen is I would literally get on a cell phone and call her, because the last several cycles she wasn't there. She's putting the wig back on. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what would happen is, you know, Tyra used to be there, but then she wasn't there anymore because she was busy and doing other things. So I would call her and say, this really isn't working. And she wanted this curly hair for you.
I remember.
And sorry, what?
You called her.
Well, here's what people don't know is I did make that call very much. I was really nervous and stressed out because I knew how the tension was all behind the scenes with everyone, between her and myself. And I was basically told, even the cycle before, don't call me when makeovers don't work. This is what I want. And that's the truth, straight up the truth. So I did make the call, and I was basically told, make it work. Make it work. It was a very short call. Make it work. And that's what she wanted. And yeah, and when the weave didn't work, they took it out and redid it because she was hell bent on making that weave work on you. And all of us knew it was wrong.
So they took it out, and they had Tyra's personal hair stylist put back the same exact weave that they had taken out of my head from the first time. They didn't show any of this, obviously. And it still looked horrible. It looked slightly better. I didn't have like, you know, an inch of my own hair popping out that didn't match like this. Just absurd. This really, honestly, this might even be better than the weave. And it's like a $20 wig. But so sad. But yeah, it was just, you know, Miss J was just like, what the hell? And then, yeah, you were just like, you know, sometimes you have a bad hairstyle and you have to deal with it. And that is the reality of modeling. Typically, you don't get some ridiculous ramen noodle weave for like 2 weeks. But, you know, hey, it made good TV. It was ridiculous. But yeah, it was terrible. I had open sores on the back of my neck.
Yeah.
Doctor, biotics. Nobody really knows that behind the scenes. So it really, like, it's synthetic hair. It wasn't real.
Yeah. You know, you know, a lot of people are writing down below. People are saying the wig is better. It's funny. You know, I think honestly what was going on, and I can't speak for Tyra and what she was thinking at the time, but I do know there was a lot of pressure to kind of elevate the show. I don't think she was trying to do like a prank on you personally, because that's just not how she operates. She doesn't do things, you know, to be malicious. So that wasn't her. But what I do feel and what I sensed was that because a lot wasn't working kind of on the show and she was adding her ideas. Because remember, we used to kind of do the creative. And by this time, it was like what she wanted. And she wanted this layer and this layer and this layer and this layer. And it was her show. So we had to do what she wanted. And at that point, she didn't want something else that was not working presented to her. It's a very difficult thing, you know, when someone's coming at you going, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. Oh, by the way, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, because you just start to kind of combat and push away. And I think that's what happened.
I get that. I think in the moment I thought they were like, let's find the most irritable, angry girl and give her the shittiest week and just watch this pan out on TV, which, you know, who knows if that was part of the decision. I don't know. But
It wasn't actually. To be fair, that wasn't. It wasn't.
okay, well then that's just how that's how like what I assumed. But like the idea of the, you know, all right, we're done with this. Literally dying.
Yeah.
How I felt when they took it off, just times 1,000. But yeah, the idea of it was amazing. Like I've had since then, I've gone to modeling jobs and stuff where they've really curled my hair and made it huge and given me extensions.
Mm-hmm.
But just a sewn in weave with that kind of hair just does not work. I mean, just doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't work. And in today's age, they do work with great wigs and pieces, etc. And look what we even did in the final runway. The final runway, we were able to kind of give you like big crazy hair. You need a whole weave for it. Speaking of hair, so Olivia.Tamak asked, why did the girls get their hair chopped before the winners were announced? And someone said someone else chimed in, Katie's House of Wax said they looked so good it should have been chopped the whole time. What did you think?
I honestly grew up with a bowl cut most of my childhood. I was a kid. I chopped my own hair off. I like idolized my brother, wore boys' clothes. So I wasn't that weirded out by the idea of short hair. I was a bit tired. My boyfriend just came in and threw me earbuds.
Yes, for the boyfriend throwing the AirPods. Yes, put your AirPods in and we can hear you perfectly.
But I'll do this after this question. But oh my gosh, ADD. Boop. What are we even talking about?
We were talking about the short hair. You said you always used to have a boil cut. They did the short haircut at the end.
I didn't know about this. This was done in the bathroom of the hotel right before judging. Literally, we did the finale and they're like, never been seen before. We're going to do this. And I was like, oh God. And then they take us into the bathroom, not in like just we're not sitting on stools, or I don't even know if we're standing up or something. And they just kind of like snap it off my hair. I thought Britney's looked great. Mm-hmm. I looked like Leonardo DiCaprio from Titanic. And he looked hot. Not me. And I had been so done with having short hair at that point in my life. I was like, I'm growing it out forever. And yeah. Off, but I was willing to let it happen because I was fairly certain I was going to win. Like, you know what? You can shave my head. I don't care what you do.
Yeah. Like, so why don't you throw in your AirPods, and then I think then we can hear you better. And I will say that this idea was actually kind of Ivan Bart's idea. I think he really, from IMG, it was kind of his idea. Oh, I hope we're not losing Molly. Her feed is pausing. Someone said that's a Karen's haircut. I love it, guys. We are going to get to all your questions. We're just going to get past these little hiccups. And yes, people say Tyra is very obsessed with the Mia Farrow haircut. She does like short haircuts. And I thought Britney did look incredible. Turned out a little better. Oh, we lost her. We lost her signal. I'm going to try and grab her back. But I am going to get to all your questions, guys. There's so many great questions. We're going to go a little long today because there are so many. So let me try and, oh, there she is. Okay, we're re-adding her. Gotta love technology. I had no internet a week ago, like at all, or power. It was lots of fun. No, it wasn't, but hey, there you are.
So sorry, you guys. Y'all, I'm sorry.
Oh, and now we can hear you perfectly, which is great.
Yay, I'm sorry. I'm really bad with technology.
Good, we're good. So let's dive into the next question. There's one from unsigned_hype. Molly, okay, multiple questions. So I'm going to read them to you, and then you see if you can answer. Oh, are you there?
Repeat. Unsigned_.
Okay, so there's a lot of questions. I'll read them all, and you can answer them as you go. So he goes, they talked about the makeover. We already talked about the makeover, so they're like, what up with the makeover? But was Alexandria really that bad, or was that editing or misunderstanding? Okay, why don't you answer that one first, and then I'll go through all of them real quick.
All right, I'm going to say all of the above on that.
Okay.
There were times where she was extremely frustrating. Mm-hmm. We were all very young. We were all put in a really annoying position the majority of the time. Yes, it was an amazing experience. Don't get me wrong. But they kind of poked and prodded at us to get drama, to poke out, or, you know, whatever. So yes, she did do some things that rubbed everyone the wrong way, not just me, but also it was edited in a way to not really show anyone saying anything nice about her.
Yeah.
In almost every sentence that I said where I was like, she's driving me nuts, I would start the sentence out with, you know, Alexandria and I have had really good times, but, you know, sometimes she really drives me crazy. And like,
yeah. And what do we call that? The power of the edit.
Editing.
It's so powerful. Very powerful.
Very powerful. So yes, she was, you know, there's only so much editing can do. You can't put words in people's mouth. You can't, you know, change things so much. You can just change chronologically what happened or cut out, omit things. So yeah, I mean, she was a lot to deal with, but like, I think we all were. And I mean, can you really blame any of us?
No, rightly so. I've said this many times on my Jay's chats. Like, I would never want to be in that competition. You know, 24 hours a day, mic'd, the rules, being put on ice. Being put on ice means you can't talk because they're not filming at the time. I mean, it's the most horrible pressure cooker. I would, you know, and again, yes, you were all younger. So it's like, I probably would have been way worse than some of, you know, we'll call it like the crazy characters. I think it's a difficult place to live and be.
Yeah. And you're put in all these uncomfortable situations away from home. You're barely allowed to speak to your family.
Yeah.
Half the time you can't even go relax and listen to your favorite song. You can't even hum your favorite tune because, they got to pay like royalties on that. Or so, you know, there's so many things that nobody really realizes. That go on behind the scenes that cause you to be even more on edge than you would be. So everyone's like, why are all the girls crying or why are they screaming all the time? And it's like, you go in that position and see how stressed out and how annoyed you are. So.
Exactly. And someone asked,
I love you,
also,
Mom.
someone else asked, was the blow up between Alexandria and Brittany worse than we saw?
Y'all pretty much saw all of that. And they even kind of, during the panel when she had her panic attack, they even kind of followed her into the back room as well. But
which they showed on air, I believe.
Yeah, they showed it in the panel. A lot of people, I think, especially 10 years ago, even because, you know, mental stigma and all that, mental health stigma, blah, blah, blah. Not a lot of people really understood as much of what was going on. I did because I suffered from depression and anxiety my whole life, you know, panic attacks, anxiety, blah, blah. So I immediately knew what was going on. And Brittany and I had been friends really since the first episode. We're still friends. I love Brittany. So I saw that happening. Yeah, I disagree. You know, she should have been either quieter about it or not done it on set. Like the timing and the place of it was not great for the blow up.
Yeah.
But we all kind of agreed with her sentiment. But I can understand how Alexandria would have felt really like just
attacked. She was probably feeling attacked, and I do get that.
Probably was.
Yeah, I do get that. And, you know, even my experience with Alexandria, I had to keep it from basically what I was experiencing. And she was always very lovely to me. I know that pissed off a lot of you guys because she's super nice. And then but there were days, and they did play it, where I remember when we were shooting, remember was it the Fierce Roast Coffee commercial? I mean, she really did kind of take over directing. Like, she really was the grips and the lights and like, that's what we were doing. That's that's what we were all supposed to be focusing on.
Yeah.
Kind of.
There was one time that really like rubbed me the wrong way. Is she like whistled and snapped at someone behind the scenes to do something. And I was like, you don't even do that in a restaurant. That's like one of the tackiest things. Like, please, no.
So you just snap at someone,
no, you don't do that.
There was a little something baked in part of her character there. You know, this gentleman also asked, this is unsigned hype_hype still asking, Tyra said she got outvoted with Brittany during this famous, you know, episode where Brittany had the panic attack. And it says, but how does the judging work in that type of situation? Couldn't she override the judges? And there are several questions about this. And I noticed even Brittany chimed in the comments below. And I kept her it was, yes, I kept her comment because someone actually asked a question. I just want to read it because I don't know if she's here. But she goes, the question actually was from Kay Marie. And it said, in episode 6, there was a situation between Alexandria and Monique, random guy, blah, 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 blah. And she goes on and she goes, because this scene of the photo shoot, Brittany had an excellent poses and the photographer, you're very pleased with her performance. And this is the whole obsessed with photo shoot. And she goes, like, the photo wasn't, the photo didn't seem like a great shot. So Brittany answered her and said, I know my work and I know it was not my best photo. Let's be real. No one sees the photos. So production can pick and choose who has a good photo or bad photos to meet their drama needs. And Brittany is absolutely right. By this time in the show, I used to select the best photos or the top 5 for Tyra, and she would select from those early on. But by the time we got to cycle 16, I literally would mark 10, the digital tech, which someone asked in a question, who's that guy next to you? His name's Massimo. He would take the 10 that I marked. They would go off. I wouldn't even speak to Tyra about them anymore, like at all. She would literally, and I can't even tell you how many times the top 10 photos, and I like to say I have a good eye, were never chosen as the final photo. So that whole photo in the Bates Motel with Brittany with the shoe on her head where she's leaning forward, it was not her best photo. There were amazing photos of hers. And that was selected and hand selected by one person on that show. So that's what I'm going to say. There's that tea. Yeah. But back to that moment about in the judging, I think Tyra made such a point of, and they aired it that way, that she wanted to vote Brittany home. And apparently it appears that like Nigel and Andre and the guest judge that week said, no, definitely we're voting Brittany. And Tyra, they end that deliberation with, I'm outvoted. Yeah. So it was the first time ever on Top Model they'd given away who's actually staying in a deliberation. And I'll tell you why that happened. That's because most people did not believe in the process of voting on the show anymore. And rightly so, because the producers, there was this whole thing that would happen every week. I know I sent my notes from the photo shoots, but it would always be a discussion and, so-and-so is probably with really her time and these discussions. And there was pressure. They never said, we're just picking this person. There was pressure. And it wasn't coming from Madam at the top. It came from the other producers, but doing kind of her bidding. And they would say, it's this person's time. It's this person's time. And there was time. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. So for when they aired that and said, oh, I get outvoted sometimes, I'm like, oh girl, please. Like, really?
No, you don't.
Really, I'm just calling it as it is right now. It was just such a fake moment.
Look at any picture like Britney's ever taken, like even on a freaking iPhone or like in a test shoot.
She knows what she's doing. She's like,
a
Brittany
photogenic girl. She knows what's up. Even that bad photo is still better than most people I know's photo, but no, she had a better photo than that.
Yeah, and Brittany, one of the things that I loved about this competition coming down to you and Brittany, and even being in that final judging, I'll honestly tell you, one of the comments that was said a lot over and over again is, it was really hard to choose between you and Brittany. It was just a really difficult, the tightest competition at the end. And that was a real difficult decision.
I'm glad, I'm glad it wasn't just like, oh, obviously Brittany.
There was, And by the way, someone said, and I'm going to tell you as we're getting close to it, because there's another question here. My favorite photo, I remember our first photo shoot in Morocco on the camel. I lived for you, and they didn't even play how much I loved you on that shoot.
You literally, the first 5 minutes of it, when literally I just had to sit on the camel, and then they were like, all right, make the camel stand up. And other girls had gone before me and they were like, I don't know how to sit on a moving animal. And I've ridden a horse a few times, but I don't own, I'm not some camel rider or horse rider or anything. Yeah. But you just kind of feel, I felt like I was riding a bucking bronco. Not that I've done that before too. And the second it started to move, you were like, oh my God, Molly, yes. Oh, and make it go back down. You made him lay down again and stand up. You had the process of it laying down and standing up like 4 times.
Because you,
I think
you
that
served it. Yeah.
Was that the actual photo? Was him standing up?
One of the photos of him getting up, and you were like leaning forward. I mean, I know Andre for a fact, because Andre and I in Morocco, we would hang out and we would eat, and we went to the house de Kaftan. Oh, I got stories about Andre. It's a question coming up. But Andre lived for that photo of you on the camel. Like, it was so great. So great.
Still one of my favorite photos of it. Really, all of the shoots in Morocco were probably my favorite shoots.
It was a magical place. It was one of my favorite abroad locations. I actually felt like, in a weird way, I'd never been to Morocco before we shot there. And I had always heard stories about people getting sick, and, you got to be careful, only drink bottled water and all that stuff. But I got there and I felt like I was home in a way.
It felt nice.
I just loved being there so much. We were there a long time. People don't realize we were there quite a long time. It was like almost 3 weeks. Yeah. So next question. Once upon a Sophie, once _upon_a_ Sophie said, if you didn't mind me asking, how did you find traveling to Morocco? Oh, this is an interesting question.
Oh,
where it was illegal to be gay. Is this
I saw this
personal?
earlier.
Yeah, it was one of those things. Yeah, it is illegal. I didn't feel uncomfortable. I mean, wherever we went abroad, the network made sure, because we were so recognizable, we had to have security.
Yeah.
So in Morocco, even my off days when I was scouting locations, or I was even in the souk shopping and buying all that crazy silver jewelry, I had to be with a security guard and a translator. So I felt very safe, and, it's not like I was running around with the rainbow flag. So I don't know. I guess it was fine. It was fine. It was fine.
Yeah, we felt very safe.
Can I tell one of my friends is going to kill me. So he was there. He knows exactly what I'm going to say right now. I could just hear the eye roll. He's watching. And so we were in a jewelry store, like, buying all this silver. And we were in the back, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. He was like, girl, look at this. Girl, look at that. I'm like, can we get a little more? That's cool. That's cool. Because here you get the call to prayer, the guys. So anyway, it was just so funny. He was like screaming, but yeah, he's going to slap me after he hears me call him out on that. Girl. Yeah. So here's a question for you. AAKT_R. And it says, hey, Brittany, because she's also talking to Brittany. Because she was answering Brittany's question. Oh, yes. So Brittany had answered the question about dealing with panic disorder. And so this girl asked Brittany why she didn't make an appearance in cycle 17 of the show, which was the All-Star cycle, which is a great question. Brittany did answer it, saying they had set up a different setup for All-Stars, so I wasn't asked to do so, but I'm sure Mr. J will be more likely to know than myself. My understanding was when we went into All-Stars, it was all about the All-Stars, and that's why they didn't bring Brittany. It was no shade to Brittany. Brittany is amazing. I mean, we love Brittany. I love Brittany, and I love her walk. But
one of the best walks ever.
Yeah. What did you think? Because there's a lot of questions about were you asked for All-Stars? There's a bunch.
So I was actually, but apparently because like the first day filming of All Stars was a day before my finale ended, people would have known I did not win had I started filming. Therefore, this is what I was told. They picked Alexandria. I'm not trying to like throw shade or anything. But so that's what I was told. I was contacted about doing All Stars, and I would totally have loved to do that. And I would love to do it if they had. Oh, I'd do it if they had another one. I'd do that shit. Hell yeah.
Really? You would do an All Stars right now if they did another 25 All-Stars?
How ridiculous! You know I'm ridiculous. I'll go do it.
Well, you're gorgeous, and I know you'd slay the photo shoots. I probably won't be there. I suspect.
No, you have to be
my
there.
My book has ruffled some feathers, so I don't think.
I probably did too. That's probably why they're not calling me back ever. So whatever.
Even though my book is a novel, it's fiction. Everyone knows fiction. Fiction.
Yeah, fiction.
Ish. Well, yeah, it's fiction. So here's the next question. Olivia.Tamak asks, did the photographer actually stop in the mud shoot to take a solo picture of Brittany? And why wasn't that brought up in panel? Actually, it was brought up in panel, and he really did. That's Jonathan Mannion. And
I forgot about that. He's amazing.
Loved her. He loved her, and he's an amazing photographer. I live for Jonathan.
He's fantastic. And he typically actually doesn't shoot a lot of fashion. He shoots like huge celebrities.
Recording stars, celebrities, yes.
Huge celebrities, music people, like household names. He's a big time photographer. He's so talented. And he just immediately saw Brittany and just went straight in on her and was just like, whoa, like asked everyone to move, like, let me get a few shots of this. So I mean, if it was going by judging of the photographer, we would have all been eliminated and she would have won the whole damn thing right there. He loved her.
And that's one of the things that I loved about Brittany is that, I mean, she came into the competition with such a great awareness and a level of and an ability, and you could see her kind of capturing people's attention throughout. One of the next questions is interesting, and I'd love your thoughts on this. Mo_peak said, when Andre left the competition, was she allowed to actually go home, or did she stay like all the other eliminated girls in a hotel? And I do believe they allowed her to go home. But what was your recollection of what Andre was going through? Because she's such a stunning girl. Oh my God.
One of the most beautiful people I've ever met in my life. And just sweet. She's just such a sweet human. It's not just looks, you know, but I mean, those are great too. She's beautiful. But I don't think we quite at first knew what was going on, but we pretty quickly, she was a little withdrawn, I guess, from everyone, and we weren't really sure. And then we kind of realized she had some traumatic background, and then we realized how recently it had happened, and we were all like, whoa, like, I don't know if I would be able to be here with that. And she I think had been struggling with that the whole time. Like, do I do this to, you know, make my family proud, or would they want me to do this? Or do I go and stay with my family during this hard time and give them support? And, you know, I mean, that's her decision to make, and she made it. I honestly, until you just told me, I wasn't sure if she had to stay like all the other girls.
They did allow her to go home for sure.
That
which
makes
is great,
me happy,
which was important. Yeah.
Woof. I mean, they should have been like, you can't leave, just stay, because you're gonna have to go sit in a room.
And all of you guys did go through, people know that I've talked about this in past Jay's chats. What is not shown on camera is you guys all go through psych evaluation.
Oh yeah. Days.
Yeah, three different psychologists with independent reviews, and then they're compiled together. And basically, if the consensus is this person, it's basically there's like what we call a green, a yellow, and a red. So greens are just like free to be selected, and then there's some yellows, and then the reds are not allowed in. But
yellow, okay, I was allowed in.
But you know what's interesting is this casting. Some people, you know, also asked. You know, we were just not involved. But even the last couple of cycles, it was a decision that was made. You know, they showed Tyra, myself, and Jay talking about the girls. We've made a decision. We didn't make a decision. We talked positives and negatives for each girl, and they edited a decision, and they made the decision. This year, they just showed the decision. It was Tyra and her team and her assistants and the yes people around her just saying yes, yes, yes. And that by that point, even in the show and this cycle, like I said, I let go of a lot. I didn't really see her a lot. Even the seasons before when there were tension, we had to work. We still worked behind the scenes, but this cycle, didn't really see her that much at all. She was busy. She showed up last minute for judgings. I was never really at judgings. I just sent notes through an assistant. Yeah. It became very disconnected behind the scenes, and it was her show, and we just worked there.
Yeah, I mean, even I would have expected you to see her more than me. Obviously, you work with her, but
and our friendship had kind of disappeared at that point. So it was like we got along when we saw each other, of course, but
it wasn't like the bond it was.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
no.
And even whatever you saw on camera of her interacting with us was what I know the only thing that we had interacting with her. Like everything was caught on camera, and then she was pretty much gone the rest of the time. So it was, everyone's like, oh, is there any, things that were cut with you and Tyra? And I'm like, no, everything's there.
And really, I mean, I'm the one who spends between some of the challenges and the photo shoot days, we spent the most time together. So that's why I always feel like I got to know you guys so well.
Yes, you were there the most out of anyone. Every photo shoot.
So it was sometimes hard for me when I would watch the editing of the judging, because I'm like, no, that's my girl. No, she did that. Or then I see a photo, I'm like, that is not her best photo. And at the time I couldn't say anything. I had to keep my mouth shut for contractual.
And then we don't know, if you know, I didn't know
Ugh.
if he liked me that much or not, or like, I've always felt like maybe Miss J didn't like me that much, even though I really like Miss J. Like, you know, it's just
Miss,
like, because Brittany's walk is so much better, and like, maybe he
yeah,
just, I don't, it's just like, you don't know because y'all aren't really allowed to like give full
we're not
details while we're
allowed.
filming, or even
Yeah.
soon after.
Miss J actually really liked a lot of you girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
we
for
love
me,
Miss J.
even like we talked about the Alexandrias, et cetera, you know, I always found a way to kind of find the best little nugget of everyone, even people who are
She had
struggling.
so
Yeah.
many good things about her. It was just this part of her we didn't like to deal with, but like, she's a beautiful woman. You know, she's just had some stuff that maybe she reacted in a not great way. We all reacted in a not great
Mm-hmm.
way to something. So
Yep. So here's another good question. This is from I'm Not Defon, and it says, when the girls went on go-sees, did they actually book real jobs with the designers outside of the show, or was it a challenge just to see if they could book a real job? What happened?
so they're pretty much just, I think, challenges to see if you can book it, and then if you book it, sometimes like if you win the most, you'll get like a prize or stuff from some of the designers, but you don't actually like book a runway show with whoever they say,
Yeah.
oh yeah, they say, oh, we would book her, or like we pick this girl
Mm-hmm.
and that girl, but they don't say like we're booking her for Fashion Week next,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
So
So
it's really just
it's
a
a
test of
challenge.
like, yeah, it's a challenge. It's not a
But with
legitimate
real
go-to.
designers giving their real opinions, they were
Yeah,
not coerced. They gave their very
it's as
real
close
opinions about
to a legitimate casting, I think, as you could probably get
on a reality show.
on a reality show.
Reality show.
True.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny. It's another question about this was from JRLA24, but asking the same thing about the weird casting elimination, but we answered that question.
Crazy.
So Molly, here's the question. How she felt about so this is from Natasha11. Hi guys, love you both. But my question is for Molly. How did you feel about the angry edit? I noticed the editors kept using the same interview of you speaking about abandonment issues. Also, how did the competition help her, and what did she learn? And these questions are for you. And I kind of agree with this. They played that up, but I never found you an angry person ever, personally. I didn't find you an angry person.
I never felt like I was rude or angry towards anyone. It was more like my way of kind of reacting to things. I kind of speak out loud, you know, like the
And by the way, our girl Lisa D'Amato is here. She's saying you look gorgeous.
Lisa, I love you,
Lisa's
Lisa.
Here. She's saying
Woo!
you look gorgeous.
It's a party now, top model party. But yeah, so the angry edit. I mean, let's be honest. Anyone who actually knows me knows I'm a relatively irritable person, and I'm a little snappy. But I'm mostly nice unless like provoked or put in a really uncomfortable position. So that was most of the time on the show.
Pull your wig up. Show Lisa your wig. Oh, Lisa, you got to miss it. She put this
wig
Lisa,
on. You missed it. We'll do it for you, Lisa.
We got to put it on.
Anything for Lisa. Shit.
Yeah, she's got the wig is going on. She brought this prop from her hideous weave moment from the show. Yeah.
Wait, we gotta blend it out like they attempted to.
The first. I felt so horribly for you. I got to say it again. On the record, they jacked you up, girl.
Dude, oof. Mess.
Thiago.hac, I hope I pronounced that correctly, said, hey, Jay, did you enjoy acting with Miss J in the Bates Motel set? It was a bit cringy for me, haha. Yeah, it was meant to be really corny. What did you guys think when you pulled up in Universal and saw Miss J standing there and I came out in the, crazy garb?
It was a little corny, but I mean, it's top model and it was funny. Like, we were amused, and it's also like, look at where you are, we saw like Jaws stuff, the Bates Motel. I mean, it's all theatrical stuff. So it was funny for you to act out a cheesy scene.
I love stabbing Miss J.
We were just like, wait, what's happening? Oh God. Like at first it's sort of, we were like, oh no. And then we realized it was just a cheesy scene.
But I don't know. Do you guys know? So he had to walk around with the blood bags when he came to pick you up. Could you guys tell beforehand?
No. We had no idea. No, I actually forgot that he totally had the blood bags underneath.
Yes, he had the blood bags underneath, and we didn't rehearse it. They just told me, because I had that retractable knife.
Fake stab him.
Yeah, well, no, I had to like use the retractable knife, but they said I had to push hard enough to break the bag, but don't hurt him. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to not break the bag. So it's like, I stabbed him, and we had
broke
like
his
a
rib
code where he was grabbing me if I hurt him too much just to squeeze me. But like I had to stab him pretty hard to get the bag.
Taking out your latent anger from 16 cycles on this one stab.
Actually, I had no anger for Miss J, to be
I'm
honest with you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, Miss J seems like fun. Yeah, that was funny. That was a cool place to shoot too. Like,
oh my God, the set, right?
And we Bates had actually, Motel.
Didn't we have like the War of the Worlds set next to us with the down plane and the smoke coming out of it? It was really cool.
There was so much crazy stuff. And then we went by the Jaws, the whole like Jaws water, beachy park scene, and like I hate that movie, but it was really cool. It was really cool. Yeah.
And then that was the famous shoot of which, and I can guarantee you all listening, Brittany had the most awesome photo shoot. And what was selected was absolutely not something I selected at all. She did have amazing, amazing photos. So
there's no way she didn't.
Yeah. Trev Mendes, that's his username. It's cool. Says, Molly, what was your favorite challenge and which photo are you most proud of?
Oh, man. The photo thing, I've been asked this a lot of times, and it's really hard. The very first photo shoot where I got first photo out of everyone with Russell James.
Yes.
That might have been my most like exciting moment. My mom and I watched this show every week before like TiVo exists. You know, like you youngins don't even know what I'm saying. But before you could record this, every Wednesday or every whatever day it used to be, we would go watch it. Every single episode. I watched Adrian, I watched Eva, I watched everybody as they went on.
Yeah.
And so the first episode, I got first photo. I cried. I was so excited. That one I think I may have been most proud of, and there were 14 girls to get best photo out of. So I feel like my I got a high percentage or whatever. Yeah. But the camel shoot and the wedding shoot with Nigel were pretty epic.
And what's interesting with the wedding shoot when we were out on that beach, which people don't realize, to get there from where we were staying in Marrakesh,
drive hours.
It was 2.5 hour drive there. We did the intro, we set it up, and then we did 2.5 hour drives back.
It was a long day.
But yeah, it was a very long day. But that shoot, they made it look like you were struggling in the edit on the show. And it was really just in the beginning of your shoot, because then once you got into your shoot, you nailed it.
But they didn't show that ending part of.
Because they need that drama. But by the way, people are writing down below, spill more tea. Well, if you're just tuning in, you actually have to rewind. You can watch this when this is up in IGTV. Major T, we talk about a lot of stuff that was going on, a lot of stuff with Tyra, the Brittany, all that, the drama's there, trust me, and we got more tea to talk about. Someone asked, Olivia.Tamac asked about Alexandria. Did she really take over directing her own shoots and other people? She kind of did. How did that CoverGirl challenge? Remember the CoverGirl challenge we did? Oh my God, you guys struggled with that. Remember the challenge where you guys had to create your own? No, with Alexandria. Remember you had to do the little.
With me and Monique.
Yes. Talk about that. I was there, so I know, but I know she had to have been grating on your nerves. I remember.
Yeah, I think at that point, I'm gonna move this. I have like a weird Black Lives Matter poster in the back that has penises drawn on it.
We can't see it. We're good. We can't see
cool.
it.
But yeah, so I think at that point it had started to kind of bubble up, everyone's aggravation with Alexandria kind of taking over things. And then I was given the job to like direct and write everything. And then I was the writer, I guess Monique was the director, and Alexandria was the talent, as she said.
Yes.
And so I wrote this like normal, something that a normal human would speak to you in a conversation, not like I pop on some this on my lips. Yep. It's like, no, like try and make it like a conversation. So I tried to do that. And then she kind of changed everything. And we were just really annoyed at that point. I'm sure we could have been a little more understanding. I was probably really stressful to have to learn all that.
I think you guys should have. I think you guys were rightly so annoyed, for sure.
Yeah, maybe, I don't, who knows? I feel like I react to things quickly, but we were both a little annoyed for sure. I mean, it showed on camera. And then we realized that we're not going to get anything good out of any of us if we're all hating each other at this moment. So, like, let's at least try and suck it up and do a semi-fake hug so we can get through this stupid challenge that we didn't even win.
And speaking of challenges, a lot of people are writing down below there, because we haven't talked about it, the bubble challenge, that runway.
Oh,
and there were so many questions about that. I'll try and find them in here. But talk about the bubble runway. That was the first thing we actually did. I remember I introduced you guys to Aaron Wasson, and then Russell James was there. You just talked about that shoot from behind the scenes of the runway. But yeah, the bubble runway. Yes, in fashion, we do some strange things on runway shows. But I don't know. That one seemed like it was...
That was a bit much.
To see the tippy tumbles. What do you think?
Yes. Yeah, I think that was purely like, what can we do that is so ridiculous and that has a high likelihood of one of these girls falling, but if they fall, it'll be in water.
Yeah, so and Nina _or_ Caroline asked, what was the deal with the bubble runway? The bubbles, the thin runway, the water, it seemed like it was a setup just for the girls and you couldn't even see the outfits through the bubble. I agree. This was a challenge. This was a challenge moment because a normal runway would just be boring.
Yep. They complete. I mean, there are other seasons that have done pool runways, like weird shit, or I mean, it's really just how can we make this runway as difficult as possible and see who doesn't fall, and then but that was a mess up thing to judge someone on.
That was a challenge runway. The ending runways, which
they would never.
I produced all of those, all the final runways. I still, even to the end, that was my job because no one wanted to touch that. And this one, we did a salon style show, which is a very real thing that happens in a lot, especially in Paris. They do in the couture shows. They do a lot of salon shows. I thought you guys were so great in that. Did you like that vibe going from room to room, or did you want the big runway?
My Roomba's yelling at me. Sorry, everyone. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I didn't like, they were throwing rose petals on the floor. And that was like really,
which Brittany took
we'll probably get on to later.
But talk about it now. Talk about it now. The final runway, because the rose petals caused Brittany to go, oh my God, I felt so bad watching her hit the door.
She hurt herself. Like I heard it, I saw it. I was literally like, you couldn't quite see me, but I was right there. And she smashed her whole body into the wall. It was not cool. Yeah. They were throwing like all these slippery rose petals from the top, and it's already like mosaic tiled floor. These shoes that were being given are probably not really worn at all.
No, they were samples. By the way, that was not done on purpose to make you guys slip.
No, I don't.
It was meant to be pretty, and no one tested it.
It was beautiful. It just, and that happens in shows. I mean, you go look at a compilation of girls falling, a million of them. It happens, but it was definitely a little scary. So and my shoes were too small. My shoes were like a size and a half too small, but they were open-toed, so thankfully I could just shove my big man feet in there. But so it was a little uncomfortable, but it was, I mean, it was one of the most beautiful settings for a runway show I've probably ever seen in my entire life.
So stunning. It was so
like
stunning.
You can look at major designers and they're just in like warehousey looking thing. Like this was an old, beautiful building, tiled ceilings, and I mean,
it was stunning.
It was gorgeous. It was just terrifying for me, I think, in that moment,
So here's a good question. Min, MINH _bananas asked, in hindsight, Molly, would you have treated Alexandria differently? And again, we talked about this before. You guys were young and you were girls, especially the whole Brittany bitching out loud at Alex thing. How do you feel looking back at a lot of that?
I'm definitely not like proud of some of it. I do blame a little bit of it on editing because there were a lot of good things that I did say about Alexandria. We had a lot of good times. We had a lot of good chats. Like I considered her a friend. We did have our blow up, but even after the blow up, we kind of mended things a bit, and then they kept editing and showing things that we would say before that. And act like we were still talking about her. So
of course, yeah.
there's only so much you can really do. Like, yeah, obviously I could have never said any of those things and just shut my mouth, but I was also being truthful as to how I was feeling and what was going on. But what you just didn't see was the beginning of each sentence where I was like, you know, I understand Alexandria and I really like her and we have all these good conversations and she's a good person, but she really aggravated me today during this thing. And so, you know, yeah, I could have definitely tried to been a little more kinder in my words, or maybe
but you guys were young and
we were young,
and also the producers knew what they were doing and asking their questions. Trust me, I know those big interview guys. You guys do a big sit down interview every, like, it's usually once a week, right?
Yes. And so then they ask you stuff from the entire week, and then they get you worked up. And they love to, like, not feed me, and I'm a hangry, angry girl. So
I'm that person. I get hangry. If I don't eat, I get hangry quick.
So I'd be like 4 hours into a freaking interview, and I'd be like, "Can I get a sandwich?" And they're like, "Answer just 20 more questions." And I was like, then they were like, "So how do you feel about Alexandria?" And I was like, you know, like freaking out. So, but yes, you know, we were all young. We could have all done things differently. And yes, if I went back, I would have changed a few things. Maybe would have cussed a little less. But, like, let's be honest, it's who I am.
It is what it is. Yeah, and you can't regret anything in life. I think. You know,
I don't really regret much.
Yeah. By the way, my questions for some reason at the bottom have stopped moving.
Mine paused for a minute too.
Yeah, I don't know why. It could be like an Instagram thing, but I see you guys are still live there, but I have the questions pulled to the side here. You can answer a couple more. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I have one. Everyone was asking about the actors in the, or were they actors in the challenge with Monique and Alexandria?
Oh, yes.
The guy was like, "Can I have a kiss?" or whatever.
Yeah.
No one ever outright told us that they were actors. I just feel like I can spot a guy trying to act awkward. I think that guy was an actor. I'm sure you can tell us, just to try and make us uncomfortable and see what we did. So we all were kind of like, "Go to Alexandria, don't bother us."
I believe those guys were kind of brought in to do that. They weren't just random strangers at all.
Yeah,
because of course we were shooting Cycle 16 and you guys were doing a Cycle 16 press thing. So, you know, the questions just started. They just popped back up.
Okay,
again.
here, they're back.
Yeah, they just came back. Thanks, guys. They're popping up now. People are saying we didn't talk about Jacqueline. Yes, Jacqueline. Did you think she went home too soon? So sweet. Oh my gosh. Talk about her.
I really don't know if I've ever met a sweeter human being in my life. Like, everyone's like, "Was she fake?" And I'm like, I don't know if you could fake that.
She was not fake. She was just so endearing. Yeah.
Even when she talked about Alexandria, all she said was, "I'm scared of her." Like, that was all she said. Like, she was just so sweet and so
sweet,
naive, not in a mean way. It's just, you know, sheltered, young, and adorable and cute and beautiful. And
people are asking why she didn't travel to Morocco, because you guys were so used to the format of 6 girls going. And actually, what you guys don't know, we would talk about it behind the scenes ever since Cycle 3 with, you know, when we were going to Tokyo. So with Eva and Anne and all that, we called it the Sake 6. So for the rest of the cycle, or all the cycles, we go, who are going to be the Sake 6, Sake 6, Sake 6. And then that cycle, we only took 5. But I don't know what the reason was around that. But
I have no idea.
I don't know why. Yeah. But, I think I know why. Oh, yes. There was a reason. Because of Andre. Because remember, Andre left the competition. And Tyra said, if Andre's photo was the worst photo of the week, no one would be going home. But Andre's photo was gorgeous. The B photo, it was gorgeous. And I forget who went home that week. I think so. That's Nicole.
Another case
Nicole did go home that week. Yeah.
Bad photos being brought up that I don't believe, because this girl worked more than the majority of us on the show beforehand. And I have seen like the cat butt mouth comment and everything. I was like, I mean, in that photo, okay, but There had to have been a better photo.
There were better photos for sure. But yes, that's right. Because second episode, both Nicole and Andre went home, and we were supposed to have 6 go abroad. So yeah, unfortunately, Jacqueline kind of got screwed there. So people are going, what's the tea with you guys talking about the 6 to 5 and abroad? Avoid spoilers. I think we talked about a lot of the tea early on. So if you're just joining in, we talked about, there was one of the big things we talked about is there was a big scene played this cycle where Tyra says, I got outvoted with Brittany. And all the judges were like, I vote Brittany, I vote Brittany, I vote Brittany. And Tyra goes, I was outvoted. And then they cut to the girls coming back. And there was a reason they played that, because so many people and fans on chat rooms and everything, no one believed it, because everyone knew, Mother was making a lot of those decisions. And there was no real, it definitely was. We were like kind of told. And it wasn't just her. There were other producers involved, senior producers who were like, this is who's got to go this week. Oh, da-da-da. Oh, her story. Oh, she did bad at the photo shoot. And a lot of the times they'd say, well, Jay really said she really was the weakest this week. And then they kind of lean it on me. And yeah. So.
And then, yeah, like you said, the story a lot. It was like if someone wasn't that interesting.
Yeah. And people are talking about the final haircuts down below. We talked about that before too. So when this goes up in IGTV, we can talk about it. But I think you said it perfectly. Molly, you were like
reenacting
the little
all my
Leonardo
DiCaprio
hairdo.
Leonardo DiCaprio circa Titanic movie.
Yes. Ugh. What other questions do you guys want? Since your questions are flying up at the bottom here, let's see what you guys want us to answer right now.
The landfill.
The landfill shoot. Yes, it stunk like hell. You guys have no idea.
No, it felt
disgusting. I had to literally my jeans, all that stuff. When we left there, it everything reeked like landfill.
They let everyone else put that smelly stuff on their nose.
Yes.
And you and Nigel were going to I was like, I'm gonna vomit, y'all. Like, this smells like dead bodies. I can't. We were literally in miles of garbage. Y'all have miles you think you've smelled garbage? I live in New York. Woo. I walk by garbage. You have no clue. You have no clue. So I asked for some of the smelly stuff. They were trying to help me because they knew how disgusting it was. And the other producers were like, nope, make her deal with the smell. And I was just like, shit. Yep. And then I got pooped on by at least
10 seagulls or something like that.
8 seagulls, everywhere. And so I jokingly, I talk out loud to be obnoxious and, basically talk to myself. God, anybody got a shotgun, a BB gun? And then Nigel's like, oh, you're being negative. And I'm like, I'm bringing some, comic relief to this situation, Nigel. I love Nigel.
But it was being whatever. But Michael Cinco was there, which I've stayed in touch with him all over the years. And he is such a huge, major designer today. And even then he was a major designer, but so wonderful for he made those just for that shoot, and
all recyclable materials.
He is so talented.
Really talented.
I love that you guys got to work with him. For sure.
It was really, it was a cool shoot. And then Brittany even getting down
someone just
Brittany
said
got down in the trash.
Someone said, why did Tyra then mention the Takara shoot? I got outvoted years ago. I'm just gonna say this.
Did she say that? Is she just saying it to cop out?
I'm just gonna say this. If you believe that, go ahead. I'll just have my tea. If y'all want to believe that, I'm sweating, but go ahead. Yeah. So she may have been. I don't know. I wasn't there that day, so well, I'll.
I wasn't there either, so who knows?
There we go. A lot of other questions. Oh, here's a good question from Dana EP23. I wonder if that has to do with the Dana that works on the show, but I don't know. Dana EP23, What was it like shooting with the baby jaguar, or did you use an animal company to have it on set? Yes, we absolutely used a very special company. His name was Murado, I believe. He was so adorable, the baby jaguar, and he was really taken care of well. You girls did not, you guys didn't overhandle him or anything, and he was allowed to run around between the shoots, and he was very, very comfortable.
In between each time we shot with him, they would take him from us and let him rest. We all wanted to be like, let me cuddle you. And they were like, chill. Let
he needs to rest and play.
And so we were like, oh, okay. But like even for the short amount of time that he was shooting with us, I'm sure he was, you know, I mean, we were sweet with him and he was having fun, like he was fine. But yeah, in between they definitely took care of him, and they didn't
And his
let us
handler
handle
was
him
right
much.
there too.
Oh yeah, they were the whole time. I think he might have
Yeah.
2 handlers, I think.
Yeah. There were definitely 2 people
There were a
that
few
came
people,
with them, but
and
they
it
were,
wasn't Joe Exotic or any of that. Don't worry.
yeah, no, it was nothing crazy.
None of
Really well
that's
taken
away.
care of.
No, they were great.
Oh, here's a question for you from Ali_Mama_Cat. What was the best part about being on the show, and what was the worst part for you?
So, the best part, I mean, I watched this show since it began weekly. I was obsessed with it. I wanted to model when I was like 10, and I looked like a little boy, and I had gap teeth and a bowl cut just like that crappy one they gave me. I was short. I looked ridiculous, and I went in this model search, and they were like, maybe grow like 7 inches and get braces and grow your hair out, and then maybe come back. And like that happened to happen. And then I watched this show for years, and then I get on this show, and it truly was like a dream come true to me. I've always wanted to model, and I never really had the balls to try out. And I actually got contacted by a casting director online through Model Mayhem. And so that gave me like the confidence I think I needed to be like, okay, well, maybe I actually do have a shot at this. So just getting there and being on it in general was an amazing experience. But I think being able to the negative part for sure, just being kind of like poked and prodded the whole time, and editing. Editing really just like the chronological timing of things that I said. And then also, yeah, the abandonment thing, like they liked to make me repeat that, or the way they'd ask questions would be like, do you think your abandonment issues affect the way you do this? And then I'd have to respond to that, and it sounded like I was copying.
And I believe, didn't
everything.
Tyra have a moment with you guys in Morocco, and
yeah,
she tried
with
to
my
kind
parents.
of play that and said, oh, I don't know when she became this big psychologist. And I remember watching this as someone, again, who's also adopted. For those of you tuning in who don't know that, I'm also adopted. And I remember watching, Tyra say, oh, people, adopted children and their abandonment issues, they poke and prod people because they want to see if the people will test the limits to see if they'll leave first before they. I'm like, girl, shut up. Like, that is not what adopted people feel like. I mean, honestly, that's how I felt watching it. And I just I really do respect Tyra. I do not want anyone to think that I am bashing her. I respect everything that she has done for this industry, for young brown and black girls and boys everywhere, and what she represents and what she has done. I give her full props. I will forever respect her. But sometimes you need to step right up out of your lane. Like, don't talk to someone about being adopted. Like, where did you get that? And as someone who is adopted, I remember watching that scene going, really, really, girl? Oh, please.
Well, I think it was like, Brittany's the trailer park girl, and I'm the angry adopted girl. So, they needed something to attach to us, to have this storyline that could possibly connect to people out there. And like, yeah, you've had a totally different adoptive experience than I have. I have been that rebel that kind of poked and prodded at my parents, and like, how much can I do till they'll leave me? And they never will. But some people are my older brother's adopted. He's normal. Like, not that I'm not normal, but he doesn't.
No, I know, but everyone deals with it. Everyone deals with it differently. I mean, and certainly, I think when I was younger,
that way.
When I was younger, I think definitely, and I'm sure it contributes to my own personality of trying to always do things to the best of my ability, because I feel like I've got to always do the best. And I know that contributes to that. But, to say that, I don't know, I just hate some blanket statements that are often given to people who are adopted.
It's
it really annoys the shit out of me, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it's not one thing. Everyone has a different reaction to it. So yeah, that was,
Yeah.
But
by the way, a lot of people.
Experience. But what are they saying?
I'm sorry. A lot of people are asking about the diary, and I don't want to forget to go out of this before we talk about the diary. What happened? The reading.
Alexandria she was on the phone with her boyfriend, I think, or something, or maybe she was doing one of her interviews. It was like later at night. So we were all in there. I had my like hair wrapped up in that stupid scarf. And I think Alexandria's diary was on her bed. Monique and Alexandria and I like shared a room. And I think it was Monique's idea. I'm pretty sure it was Monique's idea, but I like obviously I was like, yeah, that'll be funny. Or I
Yeah.
was like, should we? Oh no. And then everybody around us was like, oh God. But like we all wanted to
Well, she
see
should
if
have
she was
never
talking
left it
crap.
there.
No, hide that thing. Girl,
Yeah.
you're in a house full of girls. What do you think? Like, write it on the wall. I hate this. No.
Mm.
But so we were expecting her to be like talking shit about us or just because of how she came off. And then we saw, so Monique went and read it, and I stood there looking out to make sure she didn't come out. Which, that I feel bad about. I definitely feel bad about that. But like, it was also sort of funny. I'm laughing, but whatever.
Well, and
Anyway,
look, we're in a reality competition. She left it out. It was there. A
and
lot of people.
I didn't read anything crazy. It was just like, or she didn't. I didn't even. But she liked us, and it was saying like, I really feel like they don't like me, but I really like them, and I feel really left out. That actually made us feel really bad.
Oh wow.
That
That's good.
we went in there to like read her diary to see her talking shit
and then
about
you
us, and
find
she was
out
actually
she
like,
actually liked
I feel
you guys.
sad. And then when you pan to her on the phone with her boyfriend while we're doing this, she's like, I just feel like they don't like me, blah blah. So that was actually sort of like,
Ooh, you felt
oh
bad.
no,
A
we're
lot of people are
assholes.
also asking about the Vogue shoot real quick because I didn't have a question pulled about that because we have to wrap up, otherwise
Yeah.
Instagram cuts us off. But Vogue shoot.
So I was having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bad day. I was cold. I was cranky. There's really no other explanation for that than me having a shit day.
Mm-hmm.
Also just feeling down on myself, and then feeling like Brittany was really excelling. And at that moment, I was feeling like really like, oh no, I'm not, there's no chance. There's not even a chance. And then the feedback from the photographers was not very positive, saying I looked really tired, or like when my face was down, they were like, your face is hanging. And I'm like, my face is upside down. How am I not supposed to let it hang?
Yeah.
And so I was just like, are they just fucking with me? Like, and just giving her good feedback? I don't know. So I just had a bad day. I didn't feel good about the shoot. I didn't feel confident. And that definitely showed in the shoot, and in everything. So, I mean,
and that's a hard thing for models. And to be quite honest with you, I'm sorry you had that. And models do have to put up with that. And I can tell you, in working with so many different supermodels and even with Tyra herself, I know there's a very specific shoot that she did. I'll never forget this shoot we were at, and she was really struggling. And this one photographer was really mean to her. And this is Tyra Banks, supermodel. She's really mean, and it got through. And she pulled it together when she was on set, but behind, like in hair, makeup and everything, it was just really awful for her. So girls can have hard days.
Yeah.
It's so hard because you're modeling this, you know what I mean? And I want you to know something about you and your ability. First of all, you're stunning today. So like still to this day, your ability and who you are and what you're able to deliver, you should never doubt it. Never doubt it, because you are that package. And I know we all have that inner critic, which is something I can't find the question. Someone talked about, they asked the question about that whole inner critic exercise. Do you want to talk about that real quick as we wrap up?
That was so cringy for me to rewatch, but and I felt like it was a little forced, if you will, but
hella
maybe
forced.
Super forced. Maybe in like a singular, like a personal setting, but like all of us to be like, what bothers you the most? And if you're not crying about it, we don't think you're being serious. And so then like I feel like a lot of people felt like they had to cry for it to be like, maybe we'll get sent home if we don't cry or do anything dramatic enough. So it felt a little forced, but it did bring up some stuff for everyone. I think at some point in everything, everybody kind of did cry, maybe, but it was a weird.
It's something we all have, that inner critic. With no matter what you do, whatever your career, we all have it. And one of the best exercises that I learned, and I recently shared with a friend, is, what they say is you first write a letter, from like where it says like, Dear Molly, and let the critic write a letter, type it all out. Then sign it and give it a name. Like, let's just say Susie. Then the exercise, Karen. So then what you're not supposed to know is you're supposed to really put it all on paper. Let the critic just write it out. And then what you're supposed to do is go back, if you want to do it the same day or another day, go back, read that letter, and then write a letter to Dear Karen from Molly. and then you answer everything line by line that the critics said, and you absolutely fire back. And it's a really great building exercise for learning how to kind of push against that inner critic, because everyone has it. Everyone has it.
It's bad, especially for me. And I think for a lot of people in, I mean, all industries, but a lot of people in the fashion industry as well, because you may be, you may think you're pretty, or you're a model, or this or that, but like there's always someone pushing you down saying you're not what we're looking for. You need to lose weight, even if you're thin. You need to gain weight. You need to get boobs. You blah blah blah. So and then in your own head you start to do these things. So I think that's a great exercise. I'm a little afraid of writing the bad.
Well, I think it's
myself,
really,
but
try it. It's a good exercise to kind of do and then combat back. I've also done it. It's really powerful. And by the way, so I see a lot of your comments down below talking about the weave. We talked about the weave a lot. You can rewatch it. This live will be up in IGTV and on YouTube. Yes, I love the prop. I love the prop.
If y'all missed the weave, don't worry, go back. We do some
there. And we talk in depth about how that weave came to be, why it was there, who made that decision, and who stuck by her decision in keeping that weave on poor Molly's head. Molly, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank
went
you.
So
this was fun.
Overtime, but I love that we got to, like, I hope we answered y'all's questions down below. I think we did. But this was just so much fun.
It was fun. It was really good to see you. It's been too long. Even if it's through this, I feel like I'm
through
there
this
with you.
Pandemic. But yeah, it's like we're like just hanging out. And and my book, I did box it up for you, so you'll get it. You're getting it really, really, really soon.
Waiting.
I hope you enjoy it. And by the way,
sure.
Thank you guys for all the birthday wishes throughout.
Yes, happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, I got a little more work to do today.
22, great year.
22. Yeah, like that was 26
That's what I'm
years
sticking
ago.
with. That's what I'm sticking with. Let's do it.
26 years ago. Yeah, but anyway, thanks again, guys, for being here. And thanks, Molly. And we'll be doing Jay's Chat next week. We got All Stars. I saw Sophie was here going for the print cycle. I'm gonna call her up because I think she should do that.
Sophie.
So thanks again, Molly.
Thank you. Thank you guys for watching.
Bye, guys. Thanks.